good afternoon. I hope you've had a great day. It's been beautiful here. Not too sunny, but yeah, it's been really warm. Unseasonably warm for winter. So yeah, I don't know, maybe we've turned the corner and we've got the coldest part of our winter behind us. Who knows? I hope you guys are having a great weekend so far. I have been down in my craft room today playing around with one of my new favourite stamp sets and also a set of dies and stamps which are going to go together to create some fun greetings, and I wanted to show you what I've been up to. So I'm going to flip the camera around. I'm just hoping that everything is lined up okay. Let me just try this. And I'm going to slide it in this way. So yeah, hopefully it's not sideways. I'm not sure why it was sideways last time I did a Facebook Live. But anyway, yeah, hopefully it will be the right way around for you guys. I am playing with the Bird's Eye View stamp set, which is one of our standalone stamp sets in the new annual catalogue. It's got some really cute images, and I particularly like them because they look a little bit kind of roughly hand-drawn. The lines are not pristine, so you don't have to be too neat about colouring them in. You can just go with the flow and let it happen the way it wants to. Not really worrying too much about getting outside or inside the lines, because it really doesn't matter with these guys. There's no greetings in this set, so you can pair it with whatever greeting set you like, and I've decided I am going to use the Wonderful Thoughts stamp set and the matching Wonderful Thoughts dies, which are dies that go around each of these greetings, even the small ones. So I think I'm doing a thanks card today, but you could use any one of these greetings on your card, and it's such a versatile set because it's got pretty much all of the greetings that you might want to have throughout the year, and it's got some really nice ones too. You are much appreciated. My heart will always be tied to yours. You can do amazing things. I just really love some of those greetings. So yeah, I'm going to do a simple thanks card. So I always need a lot of thank you cards. And I have actually got all my dies out and my stamps out that I need out of those two sets. The other thing the other set of dies, which is a standalone set of dies, is called the Patchwork Pieces Dies. And it has some really gorgeous detailing on each of the pieces. So what it does, it will cut out all of these shapes, and it will pop a bit of stitching on the inside of each of the shapes, and then you can put them back together again. So what you will need to do, I'm actually going to use the Starburst one, excuse me, and what you will need to do is, so that you can have an alternating pattern, is you're going to cut two patterns out on the one run through the big shot, the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and I'm also going to cut with another set of dies, which actually comes from another bundle in the new catalogue. Let me see if I can find my catalogue so I can show you where these dies come from as well. So it's this one here. It's like a set of nesting dies, and it's a really nice shape, so I'm going to use those as well. And these ones come from, I always forget the name of it, here they are. They are called the Countryside Inn Suite Collection, and it has a matching stamp, and each of these little shapes is the same, but it will go with one of these patterns as well. Hi Linda, good to see you. Yeah, so I'm going to be using just that die, not the stamps, just the die, and I'm going to be running that through with some vellum because I just want to soften a little bit the pattern of the paper, and you'll see what I mean, because we're going to be putting one of the little birdies in the foreground, and I didn't want to have the background too busy. I wanted to be able to, to see my bird against the pattern paper. So I'm going to run that through as well as my patterned pieces die, and then they'll be ready to go on. Everything else is hand cut on this card because we don't have dies for the birds, but that's okay. A bit of fussy cutting on a card is not a bad thing. I'm just running this through. I might go through again just to make sure that that has definitely cut through, because it's going through 2 layers of the paper. So there's my simple shape, that's the vellum, obviously. And here is my patterned pieces. Now you'll notice it's kind of handy in the middle. These are kind of stuck together a little bit, but in the middle of the patterned pieces, you'll find that they are actually stuck together, so they kind of hold together, which is really good. And all you've got to do is just kind of gently peel them away from each other, and then you've got the opportunity to kind of pull them apart at the middle point and arrange them on your card how you want the pattern to go. So there's the underside and there's the upper side. So what I have done, I've just alternated each pattern. So I've used the blue pattern and then the stripy pattern alternately, and I've already laid them out onto a piece of cardstock, which I'm going to use as the base hi Betty, good to see you. Yes, I'm going to use the cardstock as the base for sticking these together. So that's the die that I've used. See that beautiful detail? It's really pretty. As I said, there is another die that cuts out different shapes. It's sort of more of a wave pattern, which is also really pretty. I like that one too. They're both really fun to play with, and they're nice and small, so you can definitely layer them onto your cards. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I've already separated all these out, obviously. I'm going to go ahead and use my glue, and I will talk to you. I'll talk to you as I do this, because I like to use my glue just to give it a little bit of leeway, because sometimes you don't quite get it in the right spot. So this glue enables you to just kind of, it's got a bit of wriggle room. I always like to say the Tombow glue gives you a bit of wriggle room if you're not quite sure that something's going to be in the right spot. When you stick it down, you can kind of swivel it around a little bit so that it's not stuck down in the spot that you originally put it if you don't want it there, if you change your mind and just want to adjust it slightly. So I'm happy with how these are going down so far. So yeah, so the pattern paper that I'm using, you guys might not have realised, is the Les Shops pattern paper, and it's got some sort of geometric patterns on one side of it, on the opposite side too, where all the shop images are. So it's actually quite versatile, and you can use it with other things. I have also got a card here where I've used the books. There's a patterned, one side of the pattern paper has books all over it in the Les Shops. Obviously it's to represent a bookshop. So I've used the pattern paper with the books for my little owl who is sitting on top of the books. And I've sort of tied that theme in as well, which I think is kind of fun. But yeah, these are more geometric patterns which will go with a lot of different stamp sets, a lot of different greetings, a lot of different occasions. So just bear in mind that Les Shops is not all just about those shop fronts, which are very cute. You can use the other side to create some really cool patterns, especially with these pattern pieces dies. That's what they're called, isn't it? Patchwork pieces, sorry, Patchwork Pieces Dies. Yeah. I like how, yeah, it really does remind me of a patchwork quilt. I'm not worrying too much either about sticking it down in the middle, because that's where my birdie's going to go. That's where the main feature of my card is going to go. So don't worry too much about getting the glue all the way to the edges if it doesn't work that way. you'll be sticking something down over the top, and as long as your stripes are all going the one way, and and you've got your alternating patterns. And also, don't worry if it's not straight. Once you get it on, it's a little bit tricky to get it within the millimeter. So what I'm going to do is give it a really quick trim. I'm going to use my old guillotine, which is one of my favourite things. I still love it. Never had to sharpen it, ever. It's the best. I think it's one of the best trimmers I've ever owned. This was in the Stampin' Up catalogue a long time ago. So I'm just going to trim this off just so it's a bit more even. And we've got more of an even framing around that pattern paper there. You can see it's a little bit neater. And we're not striving for absolute perfection here, guys. We're going for the handmade look, all right? So if your cards are not absolutely perfect, you don't need to worry. It's really not a biggie. All right, what I'm going to do now is I've already stamped my little birdie. Actually, I'm going to show you how I did that because the monocle is actually separate to the birdie. You don't stamp them together. You stamp the birdie first and then the monocle second. So I'm using Memento ink because we're going to be using the Stampin' Blends. I'm just going to get a good amount of ink on there. I want the image to be nice and sharp. You don't have to stamp it anywhere in particular, just on the basic white. You're going to be cutting around it. And the monocle is actually a separate stamp, as I said. So I'm going to angle it so he's kind of got that tucked into his feathers. And obviously you want it to go around his eye like that. How cute is he? He's just gorgeous. I think he's perfect for a thank you card. All right. Now I've got my Stampin' Blends, which I'm going to use. We've got Calypso Coral and we've also got the Balmy Blue. So the Calypso Coral, I'm going to use the dark first, and I'll just go into the tail feathers here. I'm not going to be too neat about this because remember the stamp set itself is a little bit rustic. It's not a perfectly straight line. You can see if I hold it up, it's a little bit kind of jagged around the edges. And honestly, you don't have to worry then too much about getting everything perfect with your colouring either. I'm going to leave a few little white bits just to kind of add to that imperfection. Oops, I went slightly inside his monocle, but that's okay. I'm just going to blend out that darker colour. There we go. So I've left a few little bits white. It almost looks like I've watercoloured him. Just going to blend that a little bit more. The good thing about using the Memento is that it's actually made for this ink. It's made for the alcohol-based Stampin' Blends ink, and it will not smudge once you've stamped it. All right, so I'm going to just go into, I'm going to use only the light colour of the Balmy Blue, and I'm going to go in and just colour in his monocle like that. And I think I might grab a yellow, a Daffodil Delight Stampin' Blend, and I'm just going to colour in his little beak like that. There we go. He's kind of a multicoloured birdie, and he's going to coordinate really nicely, I think, with the papers. See how he's going to sit there on top of the vellum. All right, so this is how I use vellum on my pattern paper. I'm going to cut around the birdie, and the vellum, the whole idea of the vellum is so that the birdie stands out a little bit better. I'm just going to roughly cut around, leaving a little bit of white. I like how the monocle doesn't quite fit his eye perfectly, so it's sort of a little bit too big. I think it's quite comical, actually, this little monocle on my birdie. So this one, I'm not sure if it's an owl. There are owls in this set, or birds that look like owls. This one looks more like a sparrow or a robin. I don't know what type of bird. Maybe it's a partridge. I don't know. They're kind of a little bit stylized, so they could be any birdies, and you can colour them any colour. So whatever pattern paper you are using, or better not cut his leg off. You might need that to hop around. Yes, so whatever colour you use, you can coordinate it with your designer series paper underneath. So there he is, very cute. All right. Now I'm going to stick him onto the vellum using my Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to grab a couple of the larger ones from here, about 4 of them, and this is going to stick the birdie onto the vellum. Probably 3 is enough actually. And I'll just peel off the backing and stick that down. I don't know if you guys can hear my husband. He's making a bench for our laundry upstairs. So if you hear any drilling or hammering, that's what that is. It's not happening in my craft room. It's happening upstairs. So there he is, but he's sort of sitting up a little bit off the vellum, which is kind of cool. And I'm going to grab some mini glue dots. I'm going to grab them on the back of where the birdie is so that he sits a little bit flatter onto the designer series paper. You only need a small amount of adhesive, and I've used the glue dots mainly because I don't want this vellum to kind of bend and warp, and it is absolutely fine just to secure it right in the middle. But see how you don't need any extra glue dots, and in fact if you did use them you'd probably be able to see them and it doesn't look so good. But I really like how that vellum just kind of sits over the top of that designer series paper, and see how it softens it a little bit so you can see your birdie a little bit more distinctly. All right, so from the wonderful thoughts, I'm using the thanks, as I said, but I'm also grabbing the matching word windows and piece that will go behind the word as I'm stamping it. So I've got a scrap here, and I'm just going to use this block with my boho blue stamp, the thanks stamp with the boho blue. I'll just ink that up really lightly. Okay, that's looking good. And so I'm obviously wanting to pick up the colours in the papers and in my background card. All right, so let me just tear this off as well. It's always good to keep a couple of scraps on your table if you just want to stamp a quick greeting on some basic white. Yeah, just got a couple of scraps lying around. It's really easy to grab some basic white and stamp on it, and you've got a greeting. All right, so this is the really, really tiny little die that's going to cut around the thanks, and this one is just shape. It's like another word window, except it's just a shape that's going to go behind that greeting when I'm sticking it onto the card. So I'm just going to put that flat there. And roll that through. And there's my thanks. And there's my word window. So really quickly, what I'm going to do is just use a tiny smidge of the Tombow glue. Let me just pop this down here. And of course, we'll use that really fine end. You just want a couple of dots. Yeah, that's it. And then I'll probably use some dimensionals as well, just behind so that it sits up. And that's also going to help hold the vellum down. If you notice, especially if it's a little bit damp. I don't know if it's been raining recently here or whether it's the cold or the heat. I don't know. But I'm just going to sit that back down there. There we go, and that's kind of helping that sit. You can bend it a little bit too, that way and that way. That's pretty good. All right, so that is now ready to go onto my base card. So I've got just a sheet of Calypso coral here. You can still see that lovely stitching around the edge of the paper. I really like that. I'm going to bring in 2 more cards, one of which I've actually shared before on my Facebook page here, and I think on Instagram as well. If you're not following me on Instagram, I share daily posts on there about what I've been doing in my craft room. So you can keep in the loop that way as well. But yeah, these were a couple of cards. There we go. That's my card done. Oh, except, no, I know what else I need. I need some of these. Now, this is also going to help keep my vellum in the one spot. Got some embellishments. This one's very tiny. There we go. Oops. I really should be using my Take Your Pick tool, shouldn't I? I'll just get my scissors. Oh, let me get another one. These little ones are very tricky sometimes. There we go. And a medium-sized one just for down here, maybe. There we go. So that's actually going to help keep that vellum a little bit flatter as well. So here we go. Here is my original card. You would have seen this one on my Facebook page and possibly on my Instagram. So this is the little guy that's on the library books, on the books. And I've got the paper from Les Shops, which has, you'll see the stacks of books on there as well. So that was kind of a bit of a theme that I was wanting to follow. And here is my other card that I made earlier, which also has an owl on or a bird on it with glasses, and there's our vellum. This one is using the other pattern in the Patchwork Pieces, so that's the wave pattern, and I like the grey granite, and that sort of the blue, pale blue and darker blue. I think that is boho blue or maybe boho blue and misty moonlight in the background there. Looks pretty cool, doesn't it? And that lemon lolly is just so bright and punchy. It's just gorgeous. So there you go. There's my 3 cards. The one that I made for you guys and some that I'd made earlier. I'm going to go ahead and put these 2 also on my Facebook page. I hope you guys... Oh, thanks, Betty. I love this set. I really love the birdies. I think they are adorable. If you don't have this set yet, you can get it in the online store. Just head to www.vanessawebb.stampinup.net and you can shop the bird's eye view. At the moment too, there are some stamp sets that are on special in the clearance rack, which is very unusual. So make sure you check out the clearance rack while you're there as well. But this one is not on the clearance rack. It's one of our current stamp sets, and it's from the current catalogue. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to flip this around again, and I will look forward to seeing you again next week. I will be posting some extra things on my Facebook page and my blog, and also my Instagram. So if you're not following me on any of those, you can you can shoot me a follow, and I'd really appreciate your support in that way as well. But thanks so much for watching, and have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.